'Cause she's dead.
Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
Taylor Swift is the reigning queen of turning heartache into memorable melodies. But some of the exes and past lovers who inspired her chart-topping hit songs probably deserve a little credit too. For the most part, Swift has been pretty good at not giving out too many specific details when answering questions about the people she sings about. But analyzing her lyrics, we can begin to deduce at least who some of her songs might be about. Join Trender as we take a closer look at 7 men who are more than likely the unwitting stars of some of Taylor Swift's best tunes. Calvin Harris, Look What You Made Me Do. Harris and Swift apparently went through a pretty awful breakup. After releasing the track This Is What You Came For, which is purportedly written by Harris and featured Rihanna, the news broke that the song's true writer, Nils Sjoberg, was in fact Miss Swift herself. That revelation was pretty uncomfortable for Harris, but Swift further put him in his place when releasing her recent music video for the somewhat generic revenge song Look What You Made Me Do, in which a tombstone featuring the name Sjoberg can be seen in the background of a shot featuring Swift as a zombie. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Trender for more. And now back to Taylor Swift's songs. Joe Jonas, multiple songs. One of the people Swift has likely written quite a bit of material about is her ex, Joe Jonas. Swift recently released a reworking of her 2008 album Fearless, adding a few extra songs that had been unreleased. One of these tracks was Mr. Perfectly Fine, which is ostensibly about Jonas. Another ditty featured on the original was Forever and Always, which according to some sources is another song about Jonas and how he broke Swift's heart. When the two split, the timing only allowed Swift to include a few songs about the breakup on Fearless, but she had more than enough time to include songs about the situation on her next album, Speak Now. Tracks like Better Than Revenge and Last Kiss are speculated to be about Jonas, and the former is reportedly about actress Camilla Bell, whom Jonas courted after breaking things off with Swift. On her album Red, the song Holy Ground is also supposedly about Jonas and makes a possible reference to the time they spent performing together at Madison Square Garden. On Folklore, there's a lyric in the track Invisible String where Swift takes a jab at one of her exes by singing the biting line, "Cold was the steel of my axe to grind for the boy who broke my heart. Now I buy their babies presents." Taylor has stated she penned the song after she actually sent one of her exes a baby gift, and many of her fans believe it was about Jonas, who had just welcomed his first child into the world with his wife, Sophie Turner. Stephen Barker Lyles, Hey Stephen. Not every Taylor Swift song about a man is a damning condemnation of their character or how they treated her poorly. A few of her songs are actually pretty glowing testaments of people she had positive experiences with. For example, Swift pretty definitively penned the song Hey Stephen after touring with fellow singer Stephen Barker Lyles in 2008, whom she reportedly had a giant crush on. Lyles, in an interview with Taste of Country in 2011, relayed that Taylor's song was one of the nicest things anyone had ever done for him. No doubt he too had a bit of a crush on the young songstress. Stephen ended up returning the gesture by writing a song about Swift not long afterward entitled Try to Make It Anyway. Tom Hiddleston, Gorgeous. 2 of Taylor's songs are possibly about Avengers actor Tom Hiddleston, the first being Look What You Made Me Do, and the second being Gorgeous, although both songs have also been theorized to be about Joe Jonas. Taylor and Tom's romance in the summer of 2016, while being a bit short-lived, was steamy enough to earn its own couple name and hashtag, HiddleSwift. At the time of their fling, however, Swift was pretty leery to divulge too many personal details to the press, so it's not clear how she felt about the union or its dissolution. In the video for Swift's song Look What You Made Me Do, Taylor is seen wearing an I Heart TS shirt, which Hiddleston was previously photographed wearing, but that might have been more of an innocent jab than anything more spiteful. The lyrics of Gorgeous are likewise fairly vague, but judging by the timing of the song's release, it possibly could have been written about him as well. Jake Gyllenhaal, Swift's Red album. Even though Swift has obviously written quite a few breakup songs throughout her prolific career, she has stated the only real breakup album she's written was Red. Shortly before she began work on the award-winning album, Swift was romantically tied to actor Jake Gyllenhaal, whom she was with in 2010, but apparently their relationship was a fairly quick affair that crashed and burned towards the end. Once the two split, Swift was reportedly very upset and hurt and used the pain to write songs such as We Are Never Getting Back Together and All Too Well. A few other songs on that album potentially might have been written about other men. Tracks like Holy Ground and Starlight are typically thought to be about Joe Jonas and Connor Kennedy, but the bulk of Red is fairly likely to be about the Donnie Darko actor. A few songs that are pretty clearly about Gyllenhaal are I Knew You Were Trouble, Tate of Grace, and the album's eponymous hit, Red. One of the album's bonus tracks, included in the deluxe release, The Moment I Knew, which details Swift's worst experience ever, is about the time that Gyllenhaal failed to show up for her 21st birthday party. Kanye West, numerous songs. Several of Swift's most spiteful songs about a man weren't about someone she had a romantic relationship with. As strange as it might seem, Taylor actually has a few enemies, and the person who might be her arch nemesis is Kanye West. Swift and West's long-running feud has been well documented. Their thoroughly entertaining to watch beef started with West's notorious "I'ma let you finish" moment at the VMA Awards when he rudely interrupted Swift while she was making her acceptance speech after her win for Best Female Video for You Belong With Me. Roughly a year after this cringeworthy incident, Swift released her song Innocent, appearing on her album Speak Now, which is a pretty damning response to West's inappropriate and self-absorbed behavior. But that wasn't the end of the tiff. The two did seem to put aside their differences for a bit, but they became enemies in 2016 after Kanye dropped a song featuring the lyric, I Made That Bitch Famous. Once again, their feud was red hot, and reportedly it got so turbulent that Swift had to take a break while working on her 6th album, Reputation. When she finally released it, however, a few songs likely were referencing her fury towards West, including the tracks This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things, I Did Something Bad, and, depending on who you ask, Look What You Made Me Do. On her follow-up album, Lover, Swift finally expressed she had moved on from the ordeal in her song I Forgot That You Existed. Joe Alwyn, numerous songs. Taylor has penned songs about her love life for over a decade now, but fortunately it seems as if she's found her knight in shining armor in actor Joe Alwyn. Swift and Alwyn met in 2016 at the Met Gala while Swift was still dating her ex, Calvin Harris. It's been said Swift wrote her song Dress, which was featured on her album Reputation, about that encounter. A few other songs on that album were also supposedly about Alwyn, including Delicate, Gorgeous, and King of My Heart. Swift's 7th album, Lover, clearly reflects the positive place she's currently in romantically. You can hear how happy she is with her current lover in songs like The Archer, London Boy, and, fittingly, the album's title track, Lover. Swift's 8th album, Folklore, deals with more fictional stories than her previous works, but there are also quite a few real-world references to Swift's relationship with Alwyn as well. One song likely about him is Invisible String, which makes reference to a 3-year anniversary vacation that the two actually took with each other. Even though Taylor has penned songs about many of her past boyfriends and lovers, such as Harry Styles on 1989, some of her most successful songs have been about West, Hiddleston, Harris, Gyllenhaal, Jonas, and Alwyn. Hopefully for Alwyn's sake, there won't be any more breakup songs in the future. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite breakup song by Taylor Swift? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Trender if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.